Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Varato podcast. Today, I have the privilege of talking to Folkert Elzingha from Young Dogs. I think I said that. And Folkert's been in the e-commerce game from at least 2006. I'm not sure if he goes back further than that, but we'll get into that. But Young Dogs goes back to 2006, at least based on his LinkedIn profile, which we all know are 100% accurate. So on that, I welcome Folkert to the podcast. Folkert, welcome.
Thanks, Matt, for having me here.
All right.
It's correct, 2006, yeah.
Okay, cool. So Folkert and I, full disclosure, we've known each other for a while. We've hung out at some e-commerce events, shared a lot of stories about our backgrounds. We both own e-commerce agencies, so we have a lot of similar backgrounds. And so let's just kick it off kind of where we left off. I think the last time I saw you was in Spain last year. We were talking about, what we're doing with our businesses. I know that you do a ton of work with data, and you did a big push with Headless a couple years ago. So let me know, what are you guys working on now? What's working well? How did it net out with your Headless deployments? There you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, the story of our company is it was similar when we started, right? So we are European based. I was in the Netherlands by that time in 2006. We started off with Magento, so we came up with a PHP open source development, and 2000, I think it was 18, 19, something like that, is when we noticed that the newer scripts were they had so much benefits that we had to implement those over the PHP scripting, and they were more stable. We could achieve more, and they were just having they were opening a ton of opportunities for us as a developer, right, in order to build solutions for our clients. And that's when the journey started in Headless. Let's say Headless. We adapted React for front-end development, and then we kind of evolved as a team, because we, instead of looking at e-commerce platforms, we were looking at, we've got data here, then we've got an API, and then we've got a front end there. So it kind of changed the whole view on what we were looking at. And I think that took us into a level that we were able to make the switch into full Headless for our clients, in order to be able to scale and to start processing data in a more efficient way. That's what we took, and this is how we are pushing forward still. And nowadays we are even more with data than with the actual front ends. The front ends development, as we all know, we got now chat agents everywhere, and the chat agents, they will just spit out a lot of content code, but you need to have the data, and the data has to be good, well structured, in order to get the results for the clients, right? That's where you go. So if you ask me now, where are we now? We are now on big data sets, and getting these data sets even better structured for e-commerce or whatever internal process could also be. So we're slowly moving away from specialist e-commerce into more digitalization agent. And that really works really well, and it really challenges the team. It's exactly where they want to be.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about data. Obviously, on our side, we're doing tons of data normalization and building attribute sets. And I'm going to try to explain this with an analogy, because I think there's a lot of you and I have been doing this a long time, but someone who's not in the data all the time,
Right,
looking at it specifically, thinks that there's a future in which kind of AI will magically clean up our data. And what I'm seeing is it's actually the reverse is true. Like you have to have involvement with, in the learning language models, they get better as you train them, and the training them is basically feeding them context. So if you don't build context around your prompting, then you're not going to get these really smart responses. They're going to give you kind of a generic response, like a probable response. But as you build context, you can, through prompting, you can get the better responses. Data is kind of the same way. It's like you have this big pool of data, but as you build structure around that data, what you're really doing is building context. So this relates to that, relates to this, relates to that. So the taxonomies and the schema and the categorization, all of this context is actually there in the structured data, so that now if AI wants to absorb that data and learn from that data, the context makes the AI more powerful. It's not AI making the data more powerful. You're using data to make the AI more powerful in a way.
Yeah, you're making a jump straight, right, to AI. I would say for the most important thing is that that companies, I think they should be aware that their data asset is maybe one of the most valuable assets that they got as a company.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of companies that underestimate this. Exactly this. They underestimate the security of the data set. They also underestimate the potential of it, and therefore they're just stuck in daily operational business, and they forget that the real growth is possible from their data set, especially companies like which have like 40 employees or up. Those have big data sets which are very powerful in order to generate new growth, basically. And yes, AI is a perfect tool to hook that up to, of course, with limitations, because you don't want your most important asset to be out there in the world, right? You don't want that to be shared with the rest of the world. It's your asset.
So I totally agree with everything you're saying. And like, we're also seeing data silos. So each department might have their own data set, but they're not, those data sets aren't unified. They're not centralized. But so with that in mind, you just said, your data is actually, they're underestimating the potential of their data to accelerate their businesses. Can you give me like a real life example of what you're talking about?
Well, a real life example is one of my clients is right now we are doing digitalization of his whole his whole purchase process, and basically in this case there was no centralization of the data, so the data was scattered around all over the company and all sorts of software platforms, etc. So we basically took that data, centralized it back into a database, and then we hooked it up. Right now we're hooking up to this complete digitalization of the workflow that's going through the company, and with the end result, of course, to bring the data towards their clients, if you understand what I mean, right? And that's when the real benefit happens, because we are using that data, we're using AI to first of all, access to data, accurate data, and then on top of that, using AI in order to get smarter and to get work done much easier. And that is just a massive benefit for this type of companies. So they reduce the workload is just reduced by FTEs, full-time employees, by tens or something like that. So it's just
you're building workflow automations too now with the
in this case we're doing that as well, and we are using all the skills and knowledge that we gained over the last years as e-commerce in order to do this. Yeah, and that is that's our benefit, of course, that we got. The early adapters that we were, as in building a web store, getting the catalog digitalized, and then bringing the data to the clients wherever they are. In this case, well, in our case, in Europe, and then translate it into, for example, in all the European languages that we got. Bring that data to the end customer. That was a journey, and we're now taking it a couple of steps earlier into the company in order to get this data even better. Right. So this is one of the examples that we're currently doing. And
is this
it's
is
everywhere
this
in every company.
Is this product data you're talking
about? In this case, it's about a purchase flow. The purchase flow that is being digitalized, but product data can be the same. If you talk about product data, I'm a huge fan of a PIM system where, so for example, like Acaneo was one of the first things I will get a company into, to get their data structured and get a piece of software there that will help them completing their data set in order to start selling.
Yeah. So the situation that you were talking about with the purchasing, so this was a B2B scenario?
In this particular case, we're talking about, of course, I cannot say too much about like which client and what we're exactly doing, but because in this case, we're talking about a company that is purchasing goods and then dismounting those goods and then reselling specific parts of this.
Okay, so but it is, I guess, B2B, or it's a process. Okay,
this is a partially B2B, but also B2C process.
Yeah. So I got it. Okay, and then that industry they're in, I'm imagining that workflow's got a lot of data and it's very specific.
Yes, a lot of and completion of data and etc. Modeling, all sorts of things. Yeah. Very interesting. It's what my crew loves to do.
Yeah. We're seeing like a lot of people that aren't. So we do a lot of B2B. I think you know that. It sounds like you do a lot of B2B, or at least very complex, data set integration, systems integration, and order flow automation and product data cleanup. That's what we're into. And some people that are strictly in the B2C side. So a lot of agencies that I know, they do Shopify and they're selling consumer goods. So like, a brand, like we work with brands and the brands sell these products, and our job is to get those products set up on a website and then get the products visible and work on, visibility, conversion rates, and retention.
Yes.
And then I'm in the B2B space. And I was like, actually, the friction we're seeing is not with marketing. It's not with new customer acquisition. It's with sales enablement and the friction around order flow and the processing of orders. So the procurement part, the processing of orders, the data normalization. So a lot of times, like they'll have huge data sets, but they're in Excel sheets, et cetera, et cetera. So what's interesting in like on the B2B side, the problems are different and the solutions are actually, you're working and collaborating with even different departments in these businesses. So like, and I don't know if you're experiencing the same thing.
Yes, I am. I had over the past years, I had a lot of chats with people, with agencies like this. And agencies, most of them, they specialize in B2C, right? Creating marketing campaigns for those e-commerce platforms, and then getting those products sold. Now, when it comes down to B2B, I think the process and the stakeholders which are involved, making the most and also of course the cultures of companies, etc., and the size of the companies, make it so complex. And if you at a factor like average order is like, for example, 10K, right? 10K euros. Then the stakes are so high that they don't want a generic process for that. They want a specialized process that will actually give the end client the full service package that the end client needs.
Right.
And I think that is you cannot create that. You cannot create it. It's you cannot create it with a Shopify extension, if you know what I mean, or with a Klaviyo package.
Right.
I think it's impossible.
But you're getting at something that I think is interesting. Like on the B2B side, they see the buying process and the selling process as also a service.
Yes.
And a human being is involved in that service.
Yes.
So if you replace that service with technology, you're diminishing the quality of the relationship, and they feel they built their business on relationships.
So in most cases it is. Well, I live in Spain. If somewhere in some country in the world, relationship is like the most important thing.
Right.
It's here. This is you can do business if you know the other person, if you had dinner with him, and then after a couple of nights of drinks, then maybe you're going to get access to his business, right? That is how it goes.
Yeah.
This is the way trust is built in Spain, and you cannot reverse that with just a software package.
That's right. And also, like I said at the beginning, I'm like, B2B is sales enablement. It's not marketing. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like, we're not using technology to replace the sales process or that relationship.
No.
We're taking the repetitive crap that salesperson has to do over and over again, and we're taking it out of the picture.
Exactly.
So now that's automated. Now you can focus on the relationship, the most important part of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think you just nailed it here, because that's what makes it customized, right? So we customize. So we have a look at the company and we say, all right, in your sales flow, what is repetitive? What can we automate? And we go to that area, and then we use all of our. We're getting a bit back to your original question about React and data sets. So then we use our React in order to build something custom for them, and get them to modify the data set and get those order flows or workflows, whatever it is, get them automated and get the result for the company. So they can move more boxes with the same amount of staff, for example, or they can move more efficiently. And it's not a let's force all the clients into a B2B website flow where they can click and then do it. It's about tailor-made and full attention to the process. And at least in Europe, I gotta have a lot of respect for the big businesses, right? It's because they build it to a certain level, and you cannot come in and say, all right, let's change everything. No, you have to have respect for the way that they got to this level.
Yeah, let's just swap it out for this SaaS platform. And they're like, no, you literally can't do that. Like, it won't work. Not only it won't work, you're going to destroy all the value we spent years building in the way that we do things, right?
Well, Matt, you mentioned SaaS. I'm just asking you, what is the added value of SaaS nowadays when we got, for example, the Vercel AI agent that can just build an application in seconds? What is the added value of SaaS still, Matt?
It's ease of use and speed to market. That's it. That's it, really.
Exactly. If you got your product and you want to sell it tomorrow and you need a platform today,
SaaS.
There's your SaaS. There's your SaaS, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But if you have a business that was constructed in 70 years, over the last 70 years, and you have, let's say 300 employees, right? 300, so mid-sized company, right? Are you going to put the 300 at stake with a replacement of this? No, hell no. No, you take out small pieces and you start optimizing that. and that
that's
is
right.
tailor made. You cannot just SaaS this.
What do you call it? Strangulation, suffocation? What was your analogy?
Well, no, there is when it comes down to software development, of course, there is the we call it the Strangler pattern.
Strangler.
It's a strategy for software that you can apply when it comes down to when you get, for example, a monolith system. You get this massive software. So you look at it and then you say, all right, let's cut this up in pieces. So this piece is more or less doing this functionality. For example, customer relationship, that's number one. Order processing is number two, etc. Right? So you
Shipping,
split it
taxation,
up, and then you take one area and you say, I'm going to strangle that one. So you just kill that one and you just keep on doing it until you got them all out. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Or you come to a consensus. Look, I'd better just take this area out and leave the rest as it is. Why not?
For example, just work with it. Yeah, just work with it.
Just work with it. Because, for example, a lot of businesses, they build their digital stack on, for example, bookkeeping software, right? Where they got products in, where they got some customer relationship in and stuff like that. But if you want to extend certain or adapt certain flows inside that, well, you just take one part and you take it out and then you make that better. You automate it, you get results, and you justify your investment, right? That's basically what you have to do.
Yeah,
that's a great job. That's great. That's great to see.
Yeah,
it's just like the old days.
So I use this analogy because like we've been through some ERP replatformings, which I think within the industry are notoriously hard. Like that's probably the hardest thing you'll do is in terms of digital transformation, to take an old on-prem ERP and replatform it to a cloud ERP or whatever you're going to do. So my analogy is you're on a ship. The ship has a factory on the ship. The ship has people on the ship. Yes. And you're going to get a new ship, but you can't stop moving the ship. The ship has to keep moving.
Yeah.
You roll an empty, brand new, beautiful ship next to it that's empty, and you've got to move the people, the processes, the cargo, everything over to this new ship. And then you sink. You can eventually sink the old ship. But
you could decide to sink the ship, or you could just say, let's sail it parallel to your other boat. You can do that.
Yeah, you got to move them. Yeah, right. So eventually the strangulation thing is like, okay, there's nothing left on that old ship except the motor, and we got a new motor, so whatever. I want to get back to what you were saying about building the custom solutions for your clients. Yeah. And I want to talk about this idea of a vendor versus a partner. And essentially, like, what is the value of a partner? Because I always say, we partner with our clients. We're not a vendor. We're going to come in and help you. And people are like, well, of course you say that. You're on the agency side. That's what you want. I'm like, no, this is good for them. Trust me. I've been doing this a long time. So why don't you dig into that about like the value you bring to the table when you can get a real partnership going with a company?
I don't know. Look, a partnership to me, like when we're talking about partnerships with my clients, the biggest partnership that I can offer them is that my staff, my crew member, my team members, that they actually learn the data set. Mm-hmm. Because when they learn the data set, I mean everything inside the database, they're just learning it. They're learning it. Why is it there? What type of data is it? How is it structured? How did it become structured like this? Where do we need to structure it towards? And then, of course, how can we benefit all this data that is inside? Well, I don't think by providing a service like, oh, let's just re-platform your e-commerce is a partnership. Like a partnership is that we invest so much time in learning the data set, learning why it's there, what does this company want to go to, what is their
processes.
definition, right?
Yeah.
How do they expect new business? And it's not dictating, oh, right, we got some new software here, so let's just roll out and then make some TikTok campaign and let's get it going. No, that's not happening. No, we got ourselves a partnership. That means my team knows the data which is on the other side.
Yeah.
And once they know it, they can actually get a good result for the client. And I think that's where the partnership is.
Yeah.
Right? We develop something that actually makes money for the client. So the client can justify the expenses that they have to pay to us. And we go up. And it's not a marketing campaign, let's hit 100,000 euros and then we're done.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've seen a lot of agencies that say, all right, and I'm just talking real e-commerce, like basic e-commerce agencies, right? They talk about, let's get this campaign done, let's get the sales done. But in the meantime, they're contracting so many SaaSes where they benefit from, because of course they get a kickback fee from that SaaS platform which they offer to their client. And then they get to this point that they have so many fees inside the process that there is no more benefit for the client. If there's no benefit for the client.
All right, so we're going to pivot over to.
Where we're going to go?
So
where's the future then? Where's the partnership?
All right, so I was trying to hold off on this one, but
I kicked it. I'm sorry.
It sounds like we're gonna start shitting on SaaS. But what?
No.
Oh, not us.
No. No, because what we already said. No.
Okay.
Look, SaaS is a perfect solution if you want to go fast and you've got your stock right now and you got something similar, and you don't have to go really, really, really far. But I cannot imagine that I would put my data set as a company in a platform like, for example, Shopify. I'm just calling it by the name, right? Or in Adobe, let's say in Adobe Commerce, in any SaaS environment. Put all my data in, make myself fully depending on that data set, in their data set, and just wait until Shopify increases the percentages again of their sales profit.
Yeah.
Why the hell would I put myself into risk like that?
And those are typically, I agree. I know. But it's kind of like I see it as it's a trade-off. So you're essentially like, there's no perfect solution. One answer is going to be probably more challenging, more time consuming, maybe more expensive up front. That might give you a longer term, like control, autonomy, control over prices, how much and at what rate you want to invest in your technology. Yep. And the other is like, hey, I can't wait. I've got to get this thing up in 6 months or 3 months or whatever. And I thought we saw a ton of that during COVID, right? There was the COVID panic, like, oh shit, we got to be selling online. And I think a lot of these SaaS platforms were ready to go, and you turned them on, and you could get part of your catalog in there and start selling, which was like a survival, right? I think during COVID for a lot of businesses, and that's where you saw the big spike. But
and of course you have to take into account that like 5 years ago when COVID was hitting, we didn't have AI helping us building code stacks, so it was complex to build a web shop. It was really complex to maintain it, and you had you had specific knowledge, not only of the data flows but also of the systems, and that's you don't need that anymore right now with AI.
We'll see. I mean, you and I might disagree about this, but I see a lot before we get into the real high quality builds that are AI native. Let's just say that like started with AI coding. I think you're going to see a lot of garbage. I think that like we're still in the making garbage software phase of AI development, I think. And like, you know what it's like to build something that's prime time, production ready, tested, like, that's the part I worry about, is that a lot of people are just vibe coding right now and saying, hey, look, I built this demo. But it's like, yeah, but what happens when you get to version 4 of this, like, vibe coded demo with real data in it? So anyway, but like getting back to SaaS, because this gets back to what you were originally saying about data. And this is one of my big things is that, to me, the data and the processes and the intelligence of your business in the future will depend on the quality of your data. The quality of your data is how you build intelligence. It's all that context stuff. And this is something that you need to own. You need to own it. And
I completely agree there.
If you're just on a SaaS platform and all your data's in there, you're really putting yourself at risk. Not only are you putting your data at risk, but you're giving your ability to deliver a unique customer experience off of your plate. And you're letting that customer experience be defined by another piece of software. And I know that might sound scary and complex to a lot of businesses, but if you're a medium-sized business and you build a relationship with a company like Young Dogs, you can do this for a business and get them something where they get everything they want. They can control the rate at which they develop and invest in technology, right? They can own their own data. They can do something that's unique. And a company like yours is staying on top of this stuff. So instead of bringing this all on staff, you can partner with a company where you're working with their staff. You're making their staff better and smarter. Their staff understands the technology, but they can ramp with you up and down every year based on whatever the goals are for that year. And they don't have to staff that.
That is true.
That
On the
piece
other
of it.
hand, I heard more SaaS fan persons telling us that we are basically vendor locking in our clients.
Right.
Right. Of course, there will always be a dependency of the provider and the client. Right.
Right.
That's the partnership. But vendor locking means you cannot get to your data in the way that we can get to your data. That, I think, is the true vendor locking, which we see in Shopify, which we see in all the in other platforms such as Odoo as well, right? We see it also in basically all the SaaS.
Even in the ERP systems.
Systems as well. I just try to remember the name, but of course the one who got hacked just a couple of weeks ago. Which one was that? Very big one.
Was it?
Oh.
Microsoft, SAP?
No.
Oracle?
Salesforce, mate.
Oh, Salesforce. Yeah. But I don't consider Salesforce an ERP.
Well, anyway, so call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you have all your data as a company, mid-sized company in Salesforce, you're ready to get toasted, man.
Yeah.
You're just ready to get toasted. If you don't pay the bill, if you don't agree whatever they want you to pay, you can run out of business.
Yeah. And it's not like we're saying, or maybe this is not what I'm saying. This might not be what you're saying. We're not saying don't use Salesforce.
Oh.
We're saying use Salesforce.
Don't make your business depending on Salesforce.
Right. But there's a way to use an API to get that data out of Salesforce. Yeah. Just store it in a data lake for a while. Like you don't even have to leverage it yet, but just make sure you have that stuff. Because guess what? If they decide to change the contract on you and they want you to sign another 3-year agreement and your entire business model is dependent on that piece of software working, and now you can't afford it, guess what? You're in big, big trouble.
Yes. And so basically I'm telling, use SaaS whenever you can as a tool, but never as your data storage.
Right.
Never.
That's right.
Never. Right. Don't make your business model depending on only one SaaS model or on 2 or on 3 or on whatever. I've seen it so many times already that I have clients which are coming to me and say, Folkert, we got this SaaS service and they're just raising the prices multiply 5 for next year. And they want us to sign a contract for 3 years. And we don't see the added value. Can you take us out? And then we have to come up with something to save that data and to bring it. It's happening everywhere.
Yeah, and also I would say, what you and I know, and I think maybe a lot of people potentially listen to this podcast don't know, is that all of those contracts are negotiable.
Yeah.
You can negotiate, particularly the enterprise ones. So anything that's like above the, like, off the, like, tier one, or, small tier service agreement, or like a SaaS agreement, anything that's in the enterprise level or even mid-market, those contracts are completely negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a backup of all your data, that gives you leverage in that negotiation.
Exactly.
Oh, well, we've got all the data. It would be super easy for us to just re-platform it to another CRM. So the cost better make a lot of sense, but because we've already been pricing out these other platforms, and the expense of us re-platforming is much less because we prepared for this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it can save you. Well, I mean, just to give you a real life example, I won't name the platform, but like, we're coming in and delivering a reporting portal for a company that's going to save them $150,000 a year, just because they don't have to lease new seats. Because all they want to do is just see the data. Can I just see the data? And it's like, yeah, it's your data, of course. Just get it off there. We'll build a JavaScript user interface to model the data so you can get the reports. You can see the data and get the reports that you want. And it's like, okay, that's all we really wanted, and we saved them $150,000. And by the way, the user interface is better, so the data visualization is better. It's a higher quality experience.
If they want to have it customized, they can have it. Right? You want
That's
to
right.
even further customize in future, you can just have it. There's no problem. The data is there. Once the data is there, because I think that's the saying, right? The saying in the internet has been the same the last 20 years. Nothing changed. The content is king. So
that's right.
You better own your content, mate.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And then you're king.
Yeah.
It's like that. It didn't change. Once back in the days, I'm saying 2008, 2007, we were already saying content is king. So we started stuffing content, right? We had these scripts that just created landing pages all over the place. Traffic went through the roof. Everyone happy. Google didn't like us at all. But hey, traffic was coming in, right? So we created content by using, well, nowadays I will call them algorithms. By that name, we would just call it scripting, right?
Right.
And that data is now available in a much bigger scale than in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And that data is your asset, and you should protect it as a company, as any size company, I think.
Yeah.
Because when you're a startup, of course you can start up very fast, but be aware of your weakness is that your data is your data, and you should always be able to access it whenever you want, wherever you want, and have it secured.
Yeah.
Because, well, I'm sure, well, you have seen them as well, Matt. I don't know if you have seen. Have you seen companies get hacked with ransomware?
Yeah.
I've seen it happening around me, and every time the story is the same. I cannot do my business without my data, and they got me ransomware with my data.
Yeah.
That's the story. So make sure that you protect your asset.
Yeah. We're in Connecticut, and we do a lot of manufacturing in the military manufacturing. And I know that the projections are that the investment in security is going to go up 30% this year, and then like 30% like every year for the next few years, because of AI and just the data. Now the data sets are getting bigger, and the transaction flows are getting faster, and so you just got more volume. You got more volume of data, and you've gotten more access points for security breaches. And within that industry, obviously for obvious reasons, it's very, very important. But yeah, I think everywhere, like you said, someone takes your data, you can't run your business, and now you've got a ransom situation going on.
It's every time. Yeah, every time there's only one to any entrepreneur I'm talking about. I'm always asking, like I said, so first I'm trying to like kind of understand when it's the first time talk to a client. I'm like, all right, so where is the data? How is this data structured? Does he have actually like a program how to handle his data? Is it there? Then I like when I got these questions in my head, then I know like more or less, is it a client for me? Yes or no? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course, if their policy is like, we don't do anything, that might sound like the perfect client, right? Because you got a lot of work to do. But no, I'm not there. We need to have like some sort of awareness within the entrepreneur that data is like actually very, very important, and he takes it seriously, and will always take it seriously. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it will, for us, we'll have no reason at all to study all this data, right?
Yeah.
We need to know, make sure that the client on the other side is a person that takes data seriously.
Yeah. That, I think, gets to a friction that relates back to something we were saying in the beginning of the talk. If you take one of these older B2B businesses and they think of their business as relationships, and a lot of times, like the people at the top of the company, they come from the sales department or their business departments. They're not really from IT. IT is something that's kind of like a back office function, and they don't think of their business as data. They think of their businesses as relationships. So where we're seeing is a lot of friction and resistance when someone like Folkert comes and says, "Hey, I got to see your data, and that we can streamline your operations and make the order flow go faster or whatever." And the management's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter because our business is really relationships." So
Yeah.
there's those two things those two mindsets don't always agree on
Exactly.
what the investment should be, right?
Yeah. That's a red light for me. When I hear that kind of things, I'm out. I'm backing off because I'm not going to fight people who deny the value of the asset, of the digital asset.
Right.
Those persons, there's no reason to fight that. Man, just let them be. All right, and that business probably will go perfectly over the next 20 years. No problem. But could they get more? I think yes. That's my opinion.
Well, we're also seeing, like, we work with a lot of family businesses. We're mid-market, regional, and usually there's like they're in the middle of a generational change of management. There's a boomer.
How are you doing that? Because when the youngster comes in, right?
Yeah.
How do you keep your relationship up? Because you're a partner to the to the previous generation, so you now have to move in. It's interesting how to do that.
Yeah, I mean and we're seeing a lot of it. Like, what's weird in our country, and I'm sure it's similar in Europe, like we have the big baby boomer generation. I think their probably average age right now is around 69, maybe. So like peak boomer generation.
Yep.
They're in their late 60s. The millennials, who are their children, are in their 30s, right? Maybe just starting to have kids. So like dad's too old to make decisions because he's not digitally native, and the son's a little too young for the responsibility of running the entire company. So there's this like gap. We're not to oversimplify it, but we're kind of seeing a lot of that. And so there's a little bit of like, again, when we get into a relationship like that, it's kind of like, just try to do something small to start and win. And maybe you're having that same experience. But I would say if that first engagement with that client is like, "Oh, you know what? The data is not valuable. We don't see this as an asset. We're a relationship-based business." You'll be like, "Okay, can I meet your children? Can I take them out to lunch? Well, let's have a little conversation about dad, right? Dad, like, when are you gonna have to take the keys away from dad, right?"
Yeah, I'm sure that one day they will talk about me as well, the same in my company. So I'm sure one day they will say, my team is already laughing at me when I'm looking at AI, and they say, "Oh no, 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 AI takes you so much further." And then they show me something, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, right, yeah, I didn't think of that one, but we're already there." Yeah.
I know. Yeah, definitely. It's AI is it's. I mean, of course, I use it every day, but the stuff that I'm seeing younger people do with it sometimes is mind-boggling, and I think there's like tons of opportunity. Things are going to change incredibly fast, but there's also like risks. I think, and some risks that we can't anticipate yet, which is like kind of interesting. It feels a lot like the 90s to me, to be honest, because that's how old I am. I started in 95. So this feels like the late 90s in terms of like the internet stuff that we were doing back then.
That's
Yeah.
that's why Google came in, right? 97. That's when Google came in.
Yeah.
So basically that transformed like then the whole metadata story got alive, if you know what I mean. Nowadays, so basically we're still there. Data is still a lot of metadata. It's still the content. But on top of that, you got these, well, multiplied by to the Mac infinity, whatever it is, when you add AI layers to it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Where it's really going to be, I don't know. I actually don't know, Matt.
Yeah.
The implementation, of course, like for example, tools like NA10 that we are using, quite some time now. The NA10 tool, where we can, in any point in the workflow, just call a bot and then complete the data, and warming that data up in a better structured way into the next way, and just calling APIs, where APIs are completely 100% maintained by AI, is something which is currently present in our flows, right? So this is, we define these process flows inside the NA10, and I think that work that we're doing right now should also be property of the clients, as a property of the data set of the client.
Right.
It's something that we should work on nowadays, right? Because it's like how to handle your client's data. It's something that is specifically built for them. It should be also be a ownership, but we're not there yet. This is something we're going to go to in towards in the future, right? So it's part of our services. What you said, so it's about prompting, making the right prompts, training agents, and then building them inside the flow and getting a result. And that whole service that we're providing right now, that of course should be also part of the data set, should be a part of the process flow, and should be ownership of companies as well.
We're still seeing a lot of like what I would call analog businesses out there. They're doing print catalogs, showing up at trade shows.
Really?
They tons. And they don't have their data's in a print catalog, but they don't have it even in a spreadsheet. It might be stuck in a PDF, and like the specs might be sent over by engineering, and then the marketing department puts it into a print catalog, but there's no storage of that data in a centralized, like there's no PIM, right? There's no centralized data. So like they talk about industry 1, 2, 3, 4, we're at industry 4.0 right now. All of that data being kind of organized and structured and in a database where you can access it, that's still like industry 3.0 stuff. We still have companies that are not there yet. So like to get the most out of the future of technology, the industry 4.0 stuff, you've got to be fully up to date on 3.0. And I still think there's a lot of work to be done there.
For sure.
Yeah.
We got I've heard stories about manual entering orders manually by a back office sales team, which is basically redefining all the already written emails, just redefining them again so it's compatible with their back office software, and then it's just a complete department doing that.
Oh yeah.
I don't see why you would not invest in companies like ours to get rid of that process, because in that case you got labor costs, of course, and then you got all these errors in the communication that's happening, input errors, communication errors, everything is happening there. That's a mess.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we see it all the time. We're actually in the middle of two deals where that's what's going on currently. They're manually entering.
That's where our expertise as a e-commerce agent comes in, right? We know exactly how to structure data in order to get it to a person at the other end of the world in order to click and purchase the product, right? We know how to do that, and this is what we're bringing back.
And people are like, oh, AI is going to replace jobs, and I'm like, no one wants to sit in there and manually type in an order for 8 hours a day. One after the nobody wants to do that. So, and that might be someone that could deliver value to your company in other ways. They're not even getting a chance to do it because they're stuck typing in orders all day. Like,
I absolutely don't agree with people who say AI is going to take away jobs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, a translator who studied his whole life to become a translator is even better than any AI module, all right? But somebody who's just a translator for hobby, like which we've seen a lot, right? These online platforms were just getting somebody who spoke two languages, and that all of a sudden was a translator, right? Well, those people are out of jobs. Yeah, of course. Why? It's because AI is doing it better and faster. It's like that. Right. But those people, I'm sure they can come up with something new, right? Creating content or whatever it is they like to do. So it's the economy is moving, Matt.
This is creating tons of opportunities. Yeah, totally.
This never changed. It will ever be. It will ever be in future as well until we get replaced, Matt.
Someone was people. I have friends like I've been in those robotic cars in San Francisco. So a taxi, driverless taxi, Waymo or whatever it's called. And people were like, well, didn't that make you nervous? And I'm like,
exactly. That was my question.
Have you ever been in a lift where it smells like weed and you're like, okay, this stoned person's driving me home? Like, I give me the robot every time, every freaking time. I don't want we're getting in cars with random people we've never met. And have you met human beings? They're really unpredictable, right? Like, give me a robot.
But they're fun as well. Eh? They're fun as well.
They're fun. Yeah.
They're fun. You can have great fun with humans, but hey, when it comes down to a structured flow, it's better to have a bot. Yeah, I'm totally there.
Yeah. Get me from point A to point B. That's your structured flow. I just want to be safe.
Exactly. This is going to be from format A to format B, and that's how it goes.
So, okay, so we're in this for 55 minutes. I think I'm going to try to wrap this up now because we're trying to keep these at 45 minutes, but we went over because this was a great conversation. I'm going to wrap it up by, let's say, on a positive note, what are the things that are like getting you excited? And is there stuff that you're like nerding out on and reading and researching on a personal level? So those two things, like technology, maybe even something you're reading, but also something that's like really kind of got you engaged intellectually or mentally.
Well, for me, let's see. All right, I as a business owner and as a team leader, let's say this, I can really enjoy the level of my team at the moment, and I can really enjoy making them creating them results for our clients, right? And I mean, it's back when we introduced complete new technology like Magento 1 in 2008. We installed Magento 1, and all of a sudden, well, yeah, it still makes me happy, right? It was when you installed a complete new web shop to a client who was never online before, right? And then all of a sudden, there came in this small email, right, in this mailbox said,
Yeah.
you have an order ID number 000001, right? That moment, the euphoria, I can still see it back nowadays when we implement these AI tools into workflows, making people's life really happy, and they just actually come to you and they have this big smile on their face, and they say, you just vanished my problems, mate.
Yeah, totally.
That is my drive that I want to do, and this is exactly why I keep researching on AI, why we got this N8N tool, why we are trying out, pioneering as a team. Me as a personal, I'm not really a specific good coder or something like that. So I want to. For me, that's not going to happen, but I can see my team doing this. They get excited. I get happy because I just see all the happy people, man.
Yeah, that's good, man.
That's what we do this for, Matt.
And you're still chilling out in North Spain, right?
Northern Spain.
Northern Spain.
Chilling out. Of course, we had a really hot summer, and we most of the time spent indoors, just sweating our asses off. So in order to get all this
but it's
digital.
It's cooled off since. You guys are better.
We are still. I don't know how about yours, but my business is going.
No, the weather cooled off.
The weather. Well, the weather we just cooled off last week, actually, a little bit.
All right, good.
I was talking about the weather. It's climate change, right? It's just something we have to accept.
So after I left you, just on a final note, I know you like to ride bicycles.
Oh,
I went to Xavier. I'm probably saying it wrong, but south of Valencia, Pavia.
Yes.
Xavier. I think it depends on. And I rented an electric e-bike, and I rode along the coast of the Mediterranean.
Right.
With my friend Glenn. So next time we meet up in Europe, man, let's go for a ride. I think you're a little more fit than me, so. You can go old school. I might have a little e-assist, but as long as we're right, we're in the same,
Let's go riding, Matt.
All right, man.
Riding. No,
Let's do it.
As a amateur cyclist, I got my races. My races are still happening, so I'm training a lot. Next Sunday's got my cycle cross race is starting. The season is starting, so.
Good for you, man.
Get some dirt on the wheels and have some fun, Matt.
Well, you look good, man. You look good. You look fit. I'm happy to talk to you. I look forward to seeing you in person.
It was great fun, Matt.
Right on, man. Thanks so much for doing this. I'll see you around.
Thanks for your time and organizing this.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, ciao.